Hello everyone, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, and I am going to show you guys the very involved process that I went through to make my baby boy's birthday card. He turned 4 last week, which I don't know, I don't think I've come to terms with that. But as always, when I'm making my kids' birthday cards, I pull out all the stops and use a million products and different techniques and all the different things, and they have no clue how much time I put into it. But I enjoy the process more than anything. It's fun. So I asked him on the way to school the one day, I was like, we were discussing favorite colors because usually it changes and different things. So his favorite color right now is purple. He loves dinosaurs. So as I was walking back home, my mind just starts like turning, and I was like building the card in my head, and this whole process came out. So I started with creating these fun little backgrounds using I started with Distress inks, and I'm working on my Waffle Flower water media mat, which love. So I've already done a video on this water media mat. You guys will see it in more videos. It's just fun. So I did typical ink smushing. So I just smushed my little Distress inks onto the water media mat, and then I'm just smushing. These are just scraps of some Canson XL watercolor paper. Typical ink smushing, just in colors I normally wouldn't do. These are not colors I would normally put together. This is like pumice stone, hickory smoke, ice spruce, frayed burlap, and then cracked pistachio. But I wanted to create the look of kind of like stone is what I'm going for. So I did that first layer, and then I just dried it with my heat tool because it just speeds up the process. And then I smushed more onto the surface, sprayed it with some more water, and then, I'm just being a little lighter with pressing the watercolor paper into this because I want more of that, splattery look because you get all that fun texture. And it's interesting to see these colors kind of come together because, again, I would never think of putting these colors together. It's just not something I would reach for. And yet, after even if I wasn't going to do stone, and now that I've done it, I'm like, oh, I kind of like this. I might have to do this again and, experiment some more. So I layered all these colors together. I was happy with this. And then I pulled out the oxide sprays because I'm obsessed. These are so much fun. So you shake them side to side, kind of like a bell. Do not shake the oxide sprays up and down because the spray can actually start coming out the sides of the nozzle and whatnot, and it makes a mess. So you kind of just ring it like a bell to mix up the pigments and whatnot. And with these, I was just shaking them and then taking the nozzle right out and just basically flinging it at these. Like, I just wanted splatter and color, and I was having fun. So I started with ice spruce, walnut stain, and cracked pistachio oxide sprays. And I actually added a little bit of the Mermaid Lagoon as well because I was like, why not? Let's put in a little bit of blue too. So kind of heavily splattered these. And then while they're still wet, I actually sprayed it with a little bit of water. I was curious. I was like, well, let's see what happens. And I'm also dabbing at it with just a baby wipe. Again, it's all about just kind of experimenting and seeing what's going to happen and just playing with it. So I let that all dry, and then after it was dry, I was like, I liked it, but then I was like, ooh, I should bring in some of the purple. So I took some Distress Oxide ink here, because that'll sit kind of more on top of this, whereas just regular Distress ink would kind of just blend. It wouldn't show up in the same way. So, but again, try it. Why not? But I wanted the oxide ink because I also like the color of it too. So I did the same kind of ink smushing here, and how it interacted with everything was just fun. So did that smushing, got that purple in there, was loving this, but you got to do more because you just can't stop. Why not? My hands actually, and it's been a few days since I've made this card. I still have some staining around my fingernails, like washed my hands multiple times, showered, all that stuff. But yeah, I was a mess. If this really bothers you, like, wear gloves, but I don't mind getting ink on my hands as long as I'm not transferring it to every other surface in the house. So I added more of the spray. I also added some wilted violet spray. I added more of the pumice stone and some more of the walnut stain, and just having just a merry old time adding, sprays and splatters and that to create these pieces. So I just kept kind of going back and forth, adding some splatter, adding some spray, adding, the ink smushing, etc. And then when I was basically done here at this point, because it's like, if I keep adding more, it's just going to turn into a hot mess. So I kind of just dabbed off some of the excess. I sped up the drying process again, got these completely dry. And then as just a final little bit, I took just water and sprayed it onto my hands and tried to do kind of the Christina Werner, you know, dropping it from my hands technique, which I still can't do. I end up with just a big splat of water. It just doesn't work for me. I don't know how she does it. I can't get it to work. Anyway, I was still okay with it. I did a little bit of splattering and then those were done. So I'm going to set those aside, work on the rest of this card. So when I do cards specifically for my kids, I always love to personalize them. Because that's always been a thing. Like, even when I was little, I remember that, and like how exciting it was when you were at a store that had keychains or license plates or whatever random crap, you know, and it's like you found your name in it. And mine is a pretty basic name, so usually although the funny thing is I would find my name, but not spelled just the basic AMY. It would always be like AMIE, even 20 years ago. Like, why? So with my kids, even though all my children have fairly basic, normal names, they never would find things. With those rare times we'll see things that are personalized, we can never find their names. So I've always made it a point to personalize the cards I make for them and put their names on it. And especially when they're little, they just think that's like so cool. So I die cut his name from gray cardstock with the EVERETT solid, no, not that one. I used all caps #1 from CDC Design, and I'll have links to everything, like a supply list and links. And I stacked all those letters together. And then because, of course, 1, he likes dinosaurs, and 2, I love these dinosaur picture book characters. I pulled out my little derpy T-Rex that I just adore to pieces, and I die cut him from different shades of purple cardstock. And I am just adhering him together with a combination of washi tape and craft tacky glue. I am really loving using washi tape to adhere even these little tiny, like, you know, elements and whatnot. You know, when I first got these picture book characters, when they first started releasing them, I was cutting apart pieces of, you know, regular Scotch tape, or I glue the pieces to copy paper and trim it out. Depending on what I'm doing, that still works. But washi tape is perfect because it's easy to rip. So I can rip tiny little pieces, and you'll see here, that's what I did with this one. This is just a picture book DINO. And same thing, I die cut him from the same purple cardstocks. And I decided for all those little, like, spots, whatever you want to call them, on his back, to just use the washi tape. So I just ripped little pieces of washi tape, and I'm just applying them to the back of the main part of his little body here. And then that way, that gives me a sticky surface to press in all the little pieces for his back in a different shade of purple. This made it so much faster and easier to do. And that way it also doesn't add like a ton of bulk or anything because washi tape is so thin. Love. So I just pressed in all the little pieces of the cardstock for that, and that just kind of like assembled the main part of him. And then for their tummies, I did the same thing I did with the little T-Rex. I just flip it over, butt those little pieces up against each other, and then just tape it down with a washi tape. So once I got those parts assembled, then I can just assemble like his little leg and his little arm with the craft tacky glue. I'm not going to do anything with their eyes at the moment because, of course, they're going to get googly eyes at the end because they just have to, and that just adds to the derpy factor, and I love it. I love it. So get everything adhered. So now I've got some purple dinosaurs for this card. And off camera, I actually used all the pieces from the dino I'm assembling right now. All the leftover pieces, created a second one. And I'll use that on the inside of the card because waste not, want not. So that was just a nice way to like use up all those pieces. So got everything adhered. So now I've got my little dinosaurs. I have the name. And then I'm going to start actually like making this card. So I cut down some smooth white cardstock from Simon using one of the A2 layers dies from Waffle Flower. And then I'm just using that cracked pistachio distress ink with a picket fence life-changing blender brush. This literally took me like, even with it sped up, but even without it sped up, it took me like 30 seconds to just quickly blend this onto my background. So I just blended that on. Once I was happy with it, I just removed the ink from the blending brush with my microfiber cloth. I've shown this in a bunch of videos. This is the only way I clean these brushes. I do not wash these brushes. I don't do anything other than just I rub them on the microfiber cloth. It removes the ink. I'm good to go. So remove the ink, and then you got to add more splatter. So I put this right back in the splat box. And I'm just going to add a little bit of the Mermaid Lagoon Distress Oxide splatter here. So just tapping it against my finger, letting that dry for, you know, a minute or two, and it's good to go. So once I have that all dried, I've got my card base. And then for the balloon, my actual original plan was to stack all this together and then completely cover it with Tonic's Crystal Glaze to give it, you know, that gloss. But I literally ran out of time. I got this card made 2 minutes before I needed to give it to him for a little birthday party. So I didn't do that, but I just stacked together some surf blue cardstock with that I die cut with one of the Simon Nested Balloons wafer dies. And I also die cut a 4 from the CZ Design Everett Solid Numbers. And the top one I just colored with a Copic marker just to make it a little bit darker so it stood out a little bit more. So I did that, and then those pieces I created in the beginning, I die cut with the Heffy Doodle Stitched Stone wafer dies, which I used in a video I did for them for a blog hop where they had some really cute little like dinosaur stamps and whatnot. But I had these dies, and that's also, I was like, what can I use to make stones? And I'm like, oh, I have those dies. I'll make my own backgrounds, die cut them with stone dies. Here's my scene. The whole card just came together. So I had die cut those little stones with those dies. And then for the balloon, I just wrapped some black thread around the kind of the base or where the knot of the balloon, this balloon die cut is. And again, taped it back with washi tape. So I've got that taped into place with the washi tape, and then I just kind of fold the thread over on itself so that it comes down like right behind the center of the balloon. And again, just tape it into place so it's centered with that washi tape. And then I can also tear down little tiny pieces of washi tape. Just tear those down just to kind of reinforce that little bit of thread so it stays exactly where I want it. And then once I've got that done, it's just a matter of kind of adhering this card. Oh, and the sentiments. Sentiments, I just heat embossed onto the same purple cardstocks I use for dinosaurs, and they're from the CZ Design Birthday Palooza stamp set that, again, I'm obsessed with. In fact, the last time I used the picture book T-Rex, I used the CZ Design Birthday Palooza stamp set, and I'll have a link to that video at the end as well, because if you haven't seen that video, like this T-Rex, just I need to use him more. If I could, I'd stick him on every card, like just sneak him in. Kind of, is it Lydia? I think it's Lydia that will like photoshops pictures that Jennifer McGuire posts, and like she photoshops pictures of dinosaurs into them just for fun. It's hilarious. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I could do that. I could be like that with my cards, you know, just stick a T-Rex, hide him amongst all my cards. Anyway, I'm adhering everything with a combination of craft tacky glue as well as using my little Derice foam strips. So I adhered all the letters, kind of make them look like they're sitting among the rocks. And then I popped up the sentiments with the little foam strips. And then for the balloon, I had adhered it into place. And then to adhere the string, I applied just a tiny little dab of multimedia matte adhesive behind this little dinosaur's hand there. And then to kind of press the string into it. Actually, I'm just using a piece of the release paper from the foam strips because it's, you know, it's not going to stick to the adhesive. So I just kind of used that and held that in place so that the adhesive can dry with the string so it looks like the dinosaur's holding the string. And then I'm going to pop my little T-Rex into place there on top of the letters because, you know, it just... I sound like such a goofball, I think, but I absolutely adore this wafer die. It's the cutest little thing ever. So here I add the googly eyes, and that just makes him, like, is he not adorable? So I added 5mm googly eyes from Studio Katia to him, as well as to the other dinosaur, and it just, you know, completely gives them character. And then to finish off this balloon string, I just added more multimedia matte. I ended up adding a little bit more behind the little birthday sentiment. And then I'm going to add just a tiny little dab on the very edge of the card here along the stones because it'll dry matte so you won't even be able to see it. But just to hold that string into place. And then I can just wrap the string around to the back of the card front here and use washi tape, of course, to tape it down. And that's going to take care of that little bit. So once I get that taped into place, I can work on my actual card base, which is, again, heavyweight, smooth white cardstock. Cut to 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2. So it'll be an A2 top folding card. So I've got everything adhered into place. I've got a few little stones left over, so I wanted to use those on the inside. The dinosaur made with the extra pieces from die cutting the one from the front. And then a couple more sentiments from the Birthday Palooza stamp set. So I'm just going to ink up those sentiments with the same oxide inks I used when creating those little stones. So I'm going to use the Cracked Pistachio and the Wilted Violet oxide inks and just stamp those sentiments right into place. And then I can adhere the little stones and the little dinosaur into place with the craft tacky glue. And then once I have those adhered, I'm going to adhere the card front. And the card front I had covered with the Big Mama foam tape from Simon, just to pop that up and give it, again, a little bit of extra dimension. So I'm going to peel off all of the backing from this Big Mama foam tape using my trusty little cutter bee scissors here to get under the edge of the release paper. Peel off all that backing, and I'm going to pop this onto the card. And then before I, show the final card close up like I always do, I also want to show the card Caitlin made for Gavin. She's almost 6 now. And she asked him this too. She asked him if he would be okay if she put an octopus on the card, because that's what she's obsessed with right now. So she drew this octopus. She made this card while she was at school. And then she gave it to him, and I just, oh, did I laugh. She drew a T-Rex on the inside of her card. She didn't see mine, so this is totally on her. And then she drew a volcano, because the kids are obsessed with volcanoes lately, and, the floor is lava. And then the little birthday cake and everything. Like, this card, I just love it. I think it's so cute. And I just love that, like, her octopus got center stage, because that's what she is very much into. And he was okay with her including that, so... I just thought it'd be so fun to show you guys that, because I just got a kick out of it. So that was Caitlin's amazing card. And then here's the not as amazing one that I made for Gavin for his birthday. So as always, links will be in the description box below the video. I'll have the supply list with links to all the supplies used and my blog post and all that stuff. So you can check that out below if you're interested. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing and thumbs upping and commenting on my videos. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all very soon in the next one. Bye.